Three mere mortals discover their ability to create entire universes with their minds alone. Upon discovering their abilities, these three, gods if you will, join forces to create the Dark and Stormy Nights, a supercharged team of creatives with the aim of helping artists and writers around the world while combating the forces of boredom and mundanity. They are the Dark and Stormy Nights.
We are back with another action-packed episode of the Dark and Stormy Nights
Don't oversell it.
here on the Big Basir Media Network. Was that good? Did I do a good job?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Okay. So what episode is this?
We are on episode 32, chapter 20.
Awesome. And so last week we did Tears chapter, which was Rumble at the Rift Part 2.
Right. Now, I had written mine before. I had heard hers, so I hope the flow still works based on the notes that I had taken on our plotting episode. I think it does, but, you know.
You had to make a little adjustment, but see
Yeah.
if it works.
All right. Should I just jump in? Or?
Yeah, if you want to.
Okay. The silence was deafening. Neither Desmond's crew, the agents of CUNT, nor the remaining creatures moved a muscle. Hammond took the sight in from his elevated position. Lightning fizzed and crackled about his frame, jumping back and forth from his fist like a Jacob's ladder. Tendrils of smoke rose from the creatures that lay dead about him in a ring. What remained of Desmond's henchmen began to inch away careful not to draw attention in their retreat. Everyone began to look around in disbelief. Slowly, the sounds of the outside world began to rise in volume. Meredith cradled Robert's body and sobbed slowly, deep in her chest, a low, pitiful, mournful sound that only the utterly lost could make. Wilhelm kneeled at Philip's side, with obvious pain and concern, while Crow tugged upon his sleeve. Poppy chewed at her bottom lip, in concentration, as she sat on her heels, consulting her book and searching her medical bag for something. Karen had long ago abandoned her human guise. Pincers distorted her mouth and cheeks horribly, seeming to come from somewhere by her molars. Her forehead was dotted with 3 additional sets of eyes, smaller and redder than what she had started out with. She now sported 6 long, black, and sharp legs from her hip, while her hands had melded into a similar form that she swung threateningly as she advanced. One of Desmond's minions ran to meet the challenge of the massive Spider Queen and was impaled in the chest by a foreleg. Jennifer claimed Desmond's cane from where he lay and began firing volleys of orange energy at Karen, driving her back. Emboldened, 4 other minions joined the fray, only to be countered by Zara's blows as Dale ran about, knocking their legs out from under them. Some of the female minions began to back up to Roberta, who exchanged a look, loaded with meaning, with Jennifer, while Caleb put a hand on Jennifer's shoulder. The day is lost. The severed tentacles began to writhe violently as one jumped like a snake and strangled the neck of a minion. The color drained from the poor unfortunate's face, making his blue veining stand out. In moments, it went from a living henchman to a desiccated corpse, while the tentacle grew fat and round. The other tentacles latched onto the swollen green form, like biting snakes, and began to inflate. The tentacles moved from Desmond's body, revealing wide-open, unseeing eyes. Hammond stepped loudly in a stiff-legged fashion and positioned himself so that he was close enough to hurt this new threat and little else. A minion ran at him, getting between him and the target, and Hammond blasted him with a thunderous lightning bolt that threw him 20 yards. He fired again and did not relent, depleting his energy reserves on immolating this netherworld horror. Somehow, lacking a mouth, it screamed a high-pitched noise that left everyone holding their ears. Jennifer finally read the room. Only Caleb, her, and a dying Bob remained. She leveled her cane threateningly at Zara and abruptly ran the opposite direction. Caleb, taken by surprise, waved weakly and ran after her. Zara, with everyone else, gathered around Poppy, Wilhelm, and Crow. She wrestled with concern and the need to give them space to work. She watched as Wilhelm prepared for a ritual after Philip reminded Wilhelm that he would heal. He pulled a small leather sack from an inside pocket and began to pour the contents on the ground in a circle around Robert's body. He walked back to Poppy's book and leafed through while Poppy looked on in frustration as she was trying to make use of it. Wilhelm walked back around the circle widdershins thrice, while pouring more of what looked like salt in various symbols. He created a second circle around Meredith that joined to the one around Robert and began murmuring something low with much bass and resonance. He drew another circle and moved Crow's right hand to his lantern and then to the small circle. Crow followed his lead and placed the lantern there as Wilhelm took his left hand and placed it on Robert's chest and Meredith's hands. I actually meant to stop before here. Or do you want me to keep going, or do you guys want to?
Do you need a break?
No, but you know, it's not terribly long. Do you want me to keep going, or?
You can.
Okay. The lantern changed hue from a pale blue to a blinding white. Though it was well into the night, it seemed to grow darker yet. Nothing could be seen past a few feet. Crow grew still as a statue as Meredith ceased crying. She looked on with wide eyes at the lantern, seemingly aware for the first time that she was surrounded by her friends. Wilhelm's voice grew louder and somehow more indistinct. The world seemed to take on a silvery unrealness like a dream. Eyes shone in the gloom as the world lost all color. Every breath and crease of leather rang out like a bell as Wilhelm's shouting hardly registered as a whisper. Poppy darted her eyes wildly, appearing quite distressed. She began leafing through the book, roughly searching for an answer. Frustration building, she leaned over and tried to gain Crow's attention, to no avail. As she glanced back at the book, a wind no one felt began to change the page. She saw a diagram not unlike the one Wilhelm had, and began to read the formula with great concern. She knew what she must do. Locking eyes with Zara, she stood up and walked to the side of the circle. She tried to tell Zara what was needed, but was lost to the howling winds that grew louder as they left the circle. The darkness was all enveloping. Keep going, or?
I'm interested where this is going, but are you planning to read your whole thing in this first?
I'm like 2/3 through, so I mean, you tell me.
I don't know, man. It's interesting. It's dark. Your description is good. I've got a few concerns, but
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you want him to read the whole thing now, and then we go back and address concerns? Okay, time to slow down on the whiskey.
I guess so, yeah. I guess you can finish it off.
All right.
It is what it is.
Zara knew Poppy had pulled her aside for something, but no matter how much either shouted, nothing could be heard. They couldn't go much further without a lantern, and she didn't think Crow would let her borrow his. If only she had... Wait, she did. Reaching into the inside pocket of her leather hunting jacket, she retrieved an ornate silver egg. She clicked it once, and a weak light poured out, illuminating hers and Poppy's face. She clicked it again and handed it to Poppy while she drew her knives. After a bit of wandering about, without any sense of direction or purpose, Poppy put a hand to stop. She pointed at Hammond, still in his suit, frying all kinds of small creatures that were jumping at him and climbing up him. Zara began to dart ahead as Poppy grabbed her right arm and pointed again. Looking closer, she could see a form illuminated in Hammond's lightning, standing a dozen yards behind him. Zara looked Poppy hard in the face, trying to convey they should help Hammond, while Poppy tried to telepathically remind Zara that they had a job to do. Zara's shoulders slumped in defeat, moments before she began to run after the creature. Hammond seemed to wave and almost smiled as they ran past, but if he said something, they never heard it. As they rounded on a large horse-like creature, Poppy. I seem to have some sort of grammatical error here that's confusing me. Put up her left hand to signal that he should stop, and toss the egg with her right hand. All the difference a single letter makes.
I've had it, man.
Oh, that's funny. It landed within feet of what could clearly be seen to be a unicorn. Zara looked at Poppy with an arched brow and motioned with her hands to intimate "and so" gesture. Poppy shrugged her shoulders and said, "I don't know. It's not like we have a virgin." Zara still couldn't hear anything, but her lip reading made her think that Poppy said virgin. Virgin? Poppy mouthed the word again, as it seemed Zara somehow picked up on the word. Zara looked at Poppy with hard eyes and put a finger to her lips, then pointed at her and put the finger back to her lips. Then she crossed her throat with her forefinger for good measure. She looked Poppy in the eyes again with irritation and walked towards the beast. The unicorn raised its head from the grass where it sniffed at the glowing egg and regarded Zara. Zara walked slowly with an outstretched hand, hoping to pat the nose of the creature in a friendly fashion. The unicorn took a step back and watched as Zara approached. Steam shot out of its nostrils as it sniffed at her approaching hand. Zara placed her left hand on its nose and tried making calming noises no one could hear. After several minutes of calming the beast, it lowered its front half in what looked like a bow, and Poppy waved her hands at Zara to mount the beast. It took a little work to ride it back to the others as Hammond's lightning frightened the beast, and they had to walk a good deal around him, by which time they were hopelessly lost. It is only when they stumbled upon the burnt-out barn that they were able to orient themselves. Wilhelm's eyes were white, lacking pupils, and language unknown to all but him poured out. He looked thinner somehow, his cheeks hollow and sallow. Weird energy, unseen but felt, came off of him like flames, and the unicorn walked around him in a wide berth. Poppy waved her hands wildly to gain Zara's attention, and then slid a forefinger across her throat. Zara responded with a head nod and a pointing gesture at Poppy, followed by the same throat sign. Poppy rolled her eyes in irritation and shook her head no in an exaggerated fashion. She pointed at the head of the unicorn and did the throat slash again. Recognition and horror rang out on Zara's face as she shook her head no. Poppy shook her head up and down in exaggerated manner while pointing at Robert's body. Zara sighed as her shoulders slumped. She couldn't imagine who could do that to a unicorn. Unfortunately, she did know who. Did they know? Did they even suspect what it is like to always be the strong one? She squared her shoulders and summoned the courage to do what must be done. She looked at Meredith and then Poppy as she drew one of her long knives. Poppy held up a finger to wait as she drew a wide-mouthed bottle from her bag and poured out the contents into the grass. She walked back and then motioned for Zara to proceed. Poppy held the bottle tightly as she waited for Zara to cut the throat of the majestic beast. Blood began to run from the neck as Zara looked at her stone-faced, with a heavy tear hanging from her right eye. Poppy threw off an involuntary shudder as she realized she never saw Zara even move. She ran over to the unicorn that lowered itself onto its side, its eyes wide with confusion, and caught the flowing blood. Poppy walked over to where Wilhelm was pacing and grabbed his left hand. Power, cold and overwhelming, flooded into her. She shook her head to clear her senses and walked Wilhelm back to Robert. She pulled him down so that he sat on the earth and began to leaf through the book. Words, old and strange, flew from Wilhelm, and Poppy knew she had heard them before. She tore open Robert's shirt to the surprise of the others and began to paint it with symbols from the book in unicorn blood. She looked up at Wilhelm and listened while leafing through the book with her right hand and painting with her left. After half an hour of this, she slammed the book shut. Everyone looked between an unmoving crow, a ranting Wilhelm, and a solemn, unspeaking Poppy for answers. Poppy turned her back to them as she stood and awaited the sun. Meredith, fearing failure, cried heavily into Robert's chest. In the hollowing wind, no one felt, but all heard it. Heard Meredith's anguish ringing clear. Long they sat, unknowing what to do. With no hope or ideas, they sat. So grim the disposition, no one was sure if it was an hour or 4. The winds died. The sun rose with a new day, and with it a promise of hope. No one spoke at first, out of fear of shattering the peace. Poppy turned around to face them. She wore a smile. She laughed. How could she laugh at a time like this? How loud and manic it sounded in the still morning, until another sound joined it, breathing.
You know what's great about your chapters in this regard is you so seldom do what you're supposed to do that it's still a surprise when things actually happen. So, because we can go and just, completely lay out a plan, and then you just do whatever the hell you want anyways.
Well, I was supposed to clean up on
No.
the fight.
I'm saying, though, that it's like we know what's supposed to happen. We know that you're going to do certain things. We talked about certain things, but I still never know if you're actually going to do them or not. So it's, when you write a killer chapter like that, it's a fucking surprise. So
Okay, so that was good?
yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, okay. So we talked about the unicorn and everything like that.
Did we though?
We did.
Did
I don't know
Well,
that you
we talked
agreed.
about it might having teeth or being a zombie or something.
We discussed the fact that they had their pick
They had
of
to kill
dying
something.
creatures all over the battlefield that they could use their death in exchange for Roberts, and you made our heroes murder an innocent
Oh, no,
animal
yeah, that was some dark shit.
for
Yeah.
a single jar of blood that probably didn't require a death.
It required a life.
Oh, Lord.
I don't know.
The
but
law of equivalent
Poppy's
exchange.
Book. Poppy's book said
It probably required a death. I'm just saying, they're like, hey, look at all of these dying creatures. Let's go pick an innocent one that'll probably live, and we'll kill that instead.
Well, if you absolutely, definitely needed to work, what's better than a magical creature as a unicorn?
Yeah, no,
It's a horse with a horn. I mean,
okay,
they're not all that impressive.
The unicorn could have already been injured, and
I'm just
Oh,
saying.
we did originally suggest that. Yeah.
You made our heroes look like complete and
no,
utter
yeah, that
assholes.
was a dick move, and I don't know. It's what a hero would do.
You're
There
in
are
a
many kinds of heroes.
I could see it if there was no other options.
Well, the thing was,
They're coming out of battle. There are dying things everywhere.
Oh, yeah, no.
But
There was all kinds of creatures
there's a
battling Hammond.
moral dilemma here.
So that's my point. There are vicious things attacking them, and they're like, let's pick the innocent, sweet little horse.
But we have more of a moral dilemma
In
than
fairness,
that.
Zara didn't want to. Poppy wanted it.
But they still did it.
But the moral dilemma is that Robert wasn't alive at the beginning of this anyways.
Right.
That this isn't like somebody who died in battle and they're trying to bring him back at the moment he died. He's been dead for a while now.
So you're saying this upsets a balance or something?
No, I'm just saying that morally speaking, I think it would have been seen as an unnecessary death. You know what I'm saying? I mean, do you agree?
What would have been seen as an what are you talking about?
The fact that at the beginning of this combat, Robert was dead. That them taking a life to bring a life that's been gone for a while back at this moment, I think would be seen as an unnecessary death. I don't think
Right,
that.
but what was the unicorn doing with his life anyways?
I think it's an immoral. It was banging
Being
bitches,
magical.
farting
I'm
rainbows,
not saying
and
no to the unicorn. I'm saying pick one that's already dying.
I wouldn't be opposed to making it a little injured.
A little
it's
injured.
it was limping.
It wasn't gonna make it. Have you ever seen a
I'm
horse with a broken leg?
I'm not dead yet. Yes, you are.
It's not a unicorn. You're begging coconuts together.
I would have liked one good joke and all that. Okay, Like I know it's a
There
dark
actually
moment.
was some suggestive things there that I don't. Did you guys miss?
I know.
I
I'm just
didn't catch it.
wrap it up with like something funny. I don't know.
Well, I think we're about time for a break, so I'll come back with that.
Oh, you're gonna think of something funny while we're on break, are you?
No,
After just
no,
murdering a unicorn?
It's already in there.
All right. We'll be back with this son of a bitch in a minute.
It's me, your favorite. That's right, Odin. You can hear even more of me in my lipless tones as we, the dark and stormy nights, returns. You're welcome.
Okay, so Odin thinks we missed something. What did we miss, Odin?
Well, because usually you guys get a little upset when I make certain decisions about characters without consulting. So
I
did
think I
nobody
did miss something.
did nobody pick up on what I was saying about Zara,
Where?
That
what?
she's a murderous bitch?
a virgin?
Oh.
There was a whole exchange in pantomime, and she was getting rather pissed at Poppy, who somehow was able to perceive something.
What, like,
'Cause-
are you calling me a virgin?
Well, yeah, kind of, because only a virgin's supposed to be able to approach a unicorn. Given the time period and the fact that she hasn't been in a relationship in the entire history of the story, I thought it was entirely possible. So I just ran with it.
I mean, she's had some shitty dates.
She ran away from an arranged marriage.
That's true. She ran away from an arranged marriage, too.
I guess no, I did not catch that. I caught the virgin going back and forth, and I just didn't know what the hell you were talking about.
Yeah, because
Um,
supposedly
literally-
only a virgin can touch a unicorn,
Oh. You see, I don't remember that
which
one.
makes the betrayal of her slitting the throat all the worse.
It's like the
It
literally...
really does. It
Thank
really
you.
does.
There's a bunch of problems with that whole thing.
Okay, so here's my thing.
It's my least favorite social construct.
That virginity means jack shit.
Yeah.
I agree. That's my thing.
It is
Virginity
a-
doesn't change a person. It does not.
I wasn't making a comment on society or culture. It's just mythology.
Is this actual mythology?
Oh yeah,
I don't know.
Okay, well,
that goes
it's
back to
bullshit
like probably 12th
mythology.
century. I mean,
I don't know. It's built in misogyny, if you ask me.
I think we have to fix
That-
Dale, because you made Dale small again,
well,
and I know
mean,
you didn't know.
Well, the
you
combat
can
might
always
have
have him
was
shrink
kind of
back
over
down.
for a minute. I don't know.
I like him big for a little bit. In
We
fact,
can keep him big.
I feel
don't
like
care.
him and Hammond might be like helping each other at this point. You know, they're warding off all the big shit while the rest.
All right,
Oh,
but
and
if
is
you're gonna
Wilhelm still a
do
full-on wolf?
that, you need to have Dale look like way down at Hammond. Like he's got to be the big one now.
That's funny. Pats him on the head.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
buddy, I got your back. Good Hammond.
So,
Ham sandwich is shoving in his face.
prosciutto.
No, quit making the pig eat ham. What's wrong with you
They
two?
do though.
I don't care. Stop
I
doing
mean, they
it.
shouldn't. That's how you get like mad cow or
Prion disease.
yeah.
So,
Stop it.
What else was there? I didn't necessarily catch. Did they carry off Desmond or not? It sounds like you left him there.
Yeah. I probably should have had someone drag him off. I don't know.
Something. Chuck him over somebody's shoulder. And get the hell out
But
of
yeah,
there.
he's just kind of there.
All right. What about Roberta?
I
Oh,
think
they
you
they,
should
they
have.
ducked out.
You
They
should
ducked out
have
before
Roberta
Jennifer.
toss him over her shoulder and.
Because, well, as written, I mean, you guys can make whatever changes you want, but Roberta and crew left, and it was just Jennifer and Caleb, and then Jennifer acted like she was going to do something, and then she just ran. And then Caleb's like...
Why would the team leave
what?
without them? Just
Well, because they were outnumbered horribly, and they're like, screw this. It's not worth staying around.
then they've defected and they're no longer part of the cult.
Yeah. I'm look.
Well, they don't
I think
expect Desmond to still be alive.
anybody who left is done. They're
Mhm.
they're out of the cult. So I'm not sure I agree that Roberta would leave at the very least. You know.
Yeah, I'd say the rest of them can run because really, is it worth the money at that point?
So
But I would maybe keep Roberta if you want her to be in play in the future.
I'm not against Roberta having a serious conversation about hazard pay though. So
Some health insurance.
yeah, maybe discuss the work conditions and stuff like that. So, is there any like workers' comp?
I severely doubt it in the day.
So yeah,
I'm sure he pays better than, working at a tavern or something, but...
I'm just saying in some countries they're starting these things called unions. So maybe we need to unionize this cult.
There was a bit of an ugly word back then.
So
I don't know.
a workers' association, if that feels
Especially from a member of Gentry, yeah, he might actually take offense at the concept of union.
better. Yeah, many rich business owners still do to this day.
Oh, I'm aware.
So, what do you mean you have rights? Ugh. I think not.
You don't even have individual names.
I would like maternity leave. But you don't even like kids. So, I don't know. Okay, so we have to save Desmond. Let's keep Dale full wear form. I don't know. I think that
The unicorn. We need to decide. Is it injured or are they really going straight up murder?
I don't necessarily think that I mean, does it have to be a good unicorn? Maybe it's an evil unicorn.
You can make it
A
bitey.
murder corn.
I don't know. I like the sacrifice, but I mean, I'm fine with it having like a lame leg and an
Instead
injury
of-
inside, like it's already bleeding a bit.
Instead of a horn, it's got a chainsaw coming out of its head.
Completely practical.
Murder corn.
Electronic.
I mean, it could have a bloody
device on it.
horn because it like just got done spearing something.
I don't know.
You can make
At
that-
least make it an asshole where it's trying to bite everybody.
Or a nightmare. It can be a nightmare.
Well,
Yes.
a nightmare doesn't care if you're a virgin or
Flaming
not,
black horse of hell.
which is probably the limited amount of comedy.
Oh, it's not her
I
virginity
don't know.
that
I
lets
think
it.
that the only people who give a fuck if you're a virgin are nightmares.
I'm just
In
saying.
general.
Yeah. It's not about the virginity. It's that she's a raging bitch. That's why it lets her touch me. So. Oh, only raging bitches can touch me.
I don't know. I found the whole situation humorous. It wasn't meant to be a judgment on her character, just how people interact. Like what you saying.
Well, look, we all know that there is like supposedly magical properties about unicorns, but this is a fictional story.
Sure.
B, we've taken a lot of liberties with what these things can do,
Sure.
and C, it's comedy, so it could be something completely fucking different. You know, so
And as far as the other
I'm
comedic
missing your point.
we can just go fucking out there with this stuff, and
Sure.
You can, but I'm also going to point out that one scene can make your readers hate your character.
right, and this does not make Zara very likable at the moment.
No, I think everybody's hoping she
No,
dies
Zara's
at
a
this point.
knife. That was Poppy.
What if we give ourselves some
Poppy-
finality with the Baba Yaga and kill her?
Zara, regardless, is the one who just tricked an innocent creature
But
and then
Poppy-
murdered it.
But Poppy's...
Is the mastermind who didn't wield the blade.
Yeah. And...
Okay, so
she
now you
saw a
hate both
formula-
characters.
She saw a formula in a book.
Now I hate both characters?
Now the reader hates both characters.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Why don't we kill off the Baba Yaga instead?
That'd be weird and too convenient for her to be here.
Why?
I-
It's
I-
sucking everything towards the portal.
She's
We might
kinda-
have to go
Bring
back.
back the cottage with the chicken legs.
She's a little
Yeah.
powerful to be false
would add humor.
under that spell.
Too bad we can't have it say Popeyes on the side of the cottage because of all the chicken legs.
What is your obsession with the chicken legs?
Well, it's a real thing. This is real legend.
Yeah, well, it's
I'm not
just
making
two
this up.
giant
No, I
legs,
know, but you
yeah.
like-
It's not two giant legs. No.
Every drawing I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was. I've always seen two legs.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's not what I saw. I mean, it wasn't like what I had, where it was a millipede of chicken.
I think
legs.
it's funny and kind of grotesque.
Well, the two giant chicken legs is weird.
It's very weird.
I'm saying
It's
it,
weird. I think
at
they just
least
look like
like-
trees.
Well, no, the ones I saw didn't have chicken legs. The four corners of the house were individual like tree stump legs.
Huh.
So that's the pictures I've seen of it.
I think it's supposed to be like a tree house, and then when it moves, you're like, oh no, those are legs.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think that's what they're going
I don't know.
for.
I like our
I don't
millipede
know.
thing better. It's hilarious, I think.
Yeah,
It's funny.
it's gross is what it is. I mean, if you actually picture that, that's gross.
No, you know what I
Yeah,
think
it's
would be
pretty
funny
horrifying.
is we might have to backpedal a little bit, but what if the Baba Yaga shows up because it's being drawn into the rift, okay, and it ends up having to do battle with Hammond, you know, and I think that's a formidable thing. Hammond in the mech suit versus the Baba Yaga in the hut, you know, and she's doing drive-bys on his ass, you know, like totally busting caps out the window, right? And what?
You mean like shooting magic, right?
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but she's like, holding her wand out the window,
Well,
going.
the way you're saying it, yeah, like
You
I'm
know?
seeing her holding her gun sideways out the
Yeah,
window.
Yeah, holding the
Whatever-
wand sideways out the window. Yeah.
Whatever makes it cinematic for you, but Baba Yaga is such a powerful legendary creature. I do not see a mech suit being equal. I don't.
Are you kidding me?
No.
He just drove a demon god back through a gate.
Look.
It's not powerful enough for the witch.
Well, I mean,
I
it's a
Well,
blast-
okay,
blast of
well,
lightning through
well.
at a guy
Solution.
in a doorway.
Here's the thing. You can do your innocent, virgin-only unicorn if you really want to do the virgin thing.
It's not that big of a deal, but sure.
Okay. The thing is that I'm just saying make it already dying. Okay, there's enough blood left in a horse to paint Robert as many times over as you want to. The only thing is that it's too big for them to get back to the group if it's dying, right? So this is where the mech suit and your giant boar pig or your giant wereboar come into play and get a horse
It
back.
has to be alive when it finally.
Yes, it
bleeds out, though.
absolutely does
'Cause
have
it
to be
needs- it
alive,
needs
but
that life
already
energy.
dying, use the life.
I'm not opposed to it.
You're upset about the Baba Yaga?
I
No,
just think that it would be epic.
Okay, well,
I
I'm
don't
saying
think
you
this
It'd
don't
be
have
like
to- you don't
Biggie
have
and
to kill
Pac
her.
finally having it out.
You
Oh
fail to understand.
Lord, really? You
I-
went there? Like that's like
Wait, what?
he just like busted out Biggie and Tupac.
Oh my God, what?
We love you, Biggie.
Anyway,
East Coast for life.
I'm not opposed to her having some accidental heroism or final comeuppance, but I think that's towards the end of the book. I think it's too early for her.
I mean, we're getting
What are you
close to the end of the
talking
book.
about?
Okay, that's my thing. It's like if we have her show up again, I almost feel like she should get away and run away again.
Maybe she shows up in the very last chapter at the very last minute. What
Yeah,
if she's...
and
Wait a minute,
screws
wait a
over
minute, wait a
Desmond,
minute, wait a
that's
minute.
what I'm thinking.
What if she ends up Jennifer's Uber?
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Did you call for a ride?
Jesus Christ.
No? Dude, it's a comedy.
Well, I don't know how many legendary creatures we amassed by then, but you'd probably take her on then with Karen and Riverbottom. And
But she's an Uber driver then. Why are you trying to take her out then? This is her Biggie and Pac moment. I'm just saying. If you're not going to do
I
it
have
now...
no idea what you're saying.
Truly, weren't there rumors that one of them just disappeared and he's not really dead? Like, just do that.
Yeah, he's Machiavelli.
Have her disappear.
She
and
fakes
then-
her own death.
Yeah. Fake her own death and run away.
She's writing new albums from the islands and stuff like that
Yeah, exactly.
under a pseudonym.
I'm not that up on the hip hop history. Or
Two
rather-
dead witch.
rather.
I'm just saying. I think it'd be... I mean, that's a powerful being. I think that the blood sacrifice of that powerful
Oh,
evil
God, yeah.
being would be enough
You're
to save
trying
him.
to add this into the Robert revival chapter?
This is how you revive him, is killing the witch instead of a unicorn.
I mean, that's not really a sacrifice. That's a bonus.
I'm saying that they obliterate the hut with the lightning cannons on the...
See, that's an interesting notion.
And then it leaves
No,
her exposed.
And follow me with this. She's always associated with the damn hut. What if that's some sort of power sink for her?
Yeah, maybe it's her, what do you call them?
Like,
The phylactery.
yeah. You know, like the mummies, undead, different things are thought to have like some kind of protective vessel to hold their
Right.
soul, like a Horcrux. In
So if you
Harry
destroy the
Potter.
hut, all of her power is...
I think she'd just die. She'd become a spirit.
I don't know. I think it's like...
I mean, she's like probably almost 1,000 years old at
no,
this point.
I think it's in like the old video games, like you destroyed the outer armor, and the inner soft person inside was easier to kill.
That
you know?
person would teleport. That
So-
would run away. It would get on its flying pestle and mortar, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and fly away. It would definitely leave.
I mean, yeah, we haven't ever brought in the pestle and mortar thing.
Let's not. It's ridiculous.
It is.
Oh,
but
the
it's also
flying...
kinda
yeah,
funny.
d-
Like,
dude,
I'm all for
you
keeping
know
the
what?
mythology, but that is a dumb
Okay,
piece of
so it
mythology.
reminds me of, did you ever play the old, what is it? Well, Mega Man or Sonic, they had the same kind of character thing,
What's that?
where the guy is in the flying little... it's Eggman. You remember Dr. Eggman?
No, but was that
and he's
Mega
flying.
Man with the blue arm?
Yeah, the gun arm.
Yeah.
And-
That's UFO guy.
yeah. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's totally what it looks like in my head too.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
I think if you do it, you got to make it like the it's a stick shift. With the
How do you fly this thing?
But I almost see like the pestle like sticking on the side like a giant like you have a breakfast cereal of Fruity Pebbles or something, a big stone spoon.
What if
And it's
wait
just
wait
kinda
what if they sacrifice her, right? Like they finish her off, they use the killing blow, then the blood to bring Robert back, right? And then but she's still there in ghost form, and she's like, "You guys are dicks." Like,
I mean,
no.
only Karen would be able to see her.
I mean, if she's poltergeist like, I'm gonna haunt
that portal is closed.
I'm gonna haunt the
True.
fuck out of you guys. You suck.
You know what? That brings up a great question, though. Now that we bring back Robert, does he see dead people?
Well, we said that he may be changed. Yes, he may have some aspects of the doppelganger. Because
Well, no. I'm talking about the fact that he's lived as a ghost for so long.
Maybe, but his body is magically made as well.
Right.
So there's more to him. He is on the he is.
We
more
were
on
talking
the
about the negatives of
but-
being a negative energy being. I'm talking about the fact that
But I'm saying,
he's
yeah,
touched.
that's true. But I mean, yeah, he's more on the level of Karen and Dale now. So he's going to have certain abilities of the.
I feel like he could
otherworldly.
see ghosts, or maybe he has to concentrate. But I could see him seeing them.
I mean, it makes sense to me. He's like half demon at this point.
Yeah, maybe he has some kind of cool, like ex machina ability or something like that. I don't know. We'll have to think of it though, because I don't want it to be too like last minute. It's like, oh, look what I can do right when he needs
I'm
it.
not saying special abilities.
no,
I'm
you
even saying
gotta
he could be
breadcrumb.
haunted by it. It doesn't have to be a good thing.
Well, if we kill the Baba Yaga, maybe he sees her constantly. Hey, Dick. Hey, hey, hey. My
Oh.
death made you livable.
Oh, no.
Hey.
No, that's funny. That's what you do. I'm not saying it's in this book. I'm not even saying it's here in this point of the story. But if for some reason we need to murder the Baba Yaga, and it becomes a spirit, it's haunting them. So it's just like it's their Slimer. It just sticks around, constantly annoying, getting in the way.
I think they'd figure out how to get rid of it eventually. I don't think it would be that long before they were like, yeah, we're going to handle
They
this.
call in Sam and Dean with their salt guns.
I almost didn't know who you were talking about. It's been so long since I'd seen anything supernatural. So, but but yeah, no, I think that Wilhelm, Poppy, Karen, one of them would think of a way to get rid of that bitch.
I agree.
She's powerful though. It might just irritate her, and then she comes back.
Maybe, yeah.
You don't have to. I'm just saying the option's there.
I don't know. I think there's enough of them to figure out how to get rid of her.
Yeah, I don't think a haunting would be that big of a deal. They would figure out how to get rid of it too quickly. So what was that? I was vetoed, and we're sticking with the innocent unicorn.
I was
I like
against
the
it as
idea of
well.
the unicorn, but it doesn't have to be as innocent, or it could be the unicorn could
dying
be
Not
a
that
noble sacrifice.
innocent.
It might choose its fate because it knows it's dying.
It touches its horn to him and then falls over dead, and then he wakes.
I mean, I still
That's a
go
little
through the
cheesy.
bloody ritual.
I agree.
mean-
No, I'm just saying like I would pick a wounded unicorn.
Yeah, that's fine. And I'm saying is the unicorn might agree, like it might almost like understand what it's doing. You can give some nobility to the creature. I'm fine with
I
that.
hate the whole thing.
What do you want?
Why?
I don't know.
You still want the Baba Yaga?
It doesn't have to be
I
the
d- yeah,
Baba
I don't feel
Yaga,
that belongs
but I do not
here.
like the use of the unicorn. I
You
don't
can
like
kill
the
another
betrayal.
mermaid.
I think you just completely
I said that-
ruin.
I said you don't
Good
need the
guy mode.
betrayal. The unicorn could be sacrificing itself. It could be aware
Why the fuck would it do that?
because it's already dying. If you could do something good with your last breath, what would you not?
Maybe just like go supernova wherever it is, and that's enough to wake him up.
I don't know. I like the
Like,
bloody ritual.
maybe unicorns go supernova when they die.
Truly, you don't even need to move the unicorn. If it's in the same field, you can have Poppy and Zara go to the unicorn as it's dying, perform the second half of the ritual, gather blood,
I
allow the
guess.
unicorn to die its natural death, and then
I
go
just
back to Robert to complete the ritual
I
with the
just feel like
unicorn
it was
blood.
fresh and warm, you know.
What
It's
if
still warm? Like, how fast do you think they go cold?
You know how phoenix feathers bring people back?
I hated that game.
It's in like 20 different games. It's not even like a singular convention.
Oh, I thought it was just strictly Final Fantasy.
Oh no, I mean I love Final Fantasy, but
Oh God, I've had it. I abandoned on the Chocobos.
but no,
I
it's
couldn't do it no more.
it's true of many games. Maybe unicorn farts bring people back from the dead. It's just a thought.
That's what you're going with.
Yeah, like they get a bag, and they just get some like unicorn farts, like it's an Aldi's bag or something.
You guys either go way dark or absolutely ridiculous. There's
Well,
no.
I
in between.
think the whole thing should end on a joke. I don't know. He got very dark,
A
and then it's just
resurrection
like,
should be no.
oh, maybe it's a res erection where he wakes up with hard on.
No, that's fine. Or maybe he farts. What is his first thing coming back to life? If that's the joke you want, fine. But I think the ritual should be horrific.
All right, we'll come back after this break, and we'll talk more about the res erection.
Meanwhile, deep within the depths of Castle Numbskull, our intrepid heroes explore the idea of being entertaining for once. Back to the action.
Okay, so we liked res erection, unicorn farts.
I mean, it's a humorous term or phrase, but I don't think I want it to be the title.
And then that's what we name the book.
The res erection.
I'm probably going to get outvoted on this, but you know.
The res erection.
Just saying.
I feel like if we name it that, people will expect sex scenes.
The long hard road.
Oh,
Oh.
oh Lord.
Yeah, probably a whole different story
That's
than
awesome,
we're currently
actually.
writing.
New ideas for Hex Files.
We have like a cryptid erotica special.
Yeah.
So.
The real story between Karen and Tedrick.
I'm sure there's a market.
What those horns do?
She has 8 legs to, never mind. Let's move on.
I mean, I feel like, a Spider Woman would be skilled at shibari.
Very true. Very true.
Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep, she would definitely be a bondage expert.
So. It's someplace to go, I think.
Yeah.
So, but definitely no, I hate the killing the unicorn thing. I hate it.
Well,
I
like I
love
said,
it,
I'm not
but-
opposed to killing a unicorn.
No,
It doesn't have to be innocent.
not them.
Yeah, like I think it needs to be already
Yeah.
dying.
Yeah, I can accept that.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
we make that change.
No, I even like the idea of like 2 unicorns jousting to death or something like that. That sounds awesome.
Well,
But
maybe that's why it's injured. I was
Why
okay
would
with
they
it.
be
Maybe it's got a
jousting
bloody.
in this situation? Though?
Because
Well,
they're
not
2
necessarily
males,
this.
and only one male gets
And-
to breed.
and they need
they're
and
not breeding.
that's the
They're
problem.
getting
That's why they
shoved
got a
back
horn.
through a
2
portal.
virile male unicorns
Right? Why else do they have a horn?
This is not
battling
the time,
for the
people.
It's to
love
murder each other.
of a female unicorn
Where's the female?
and
Somewhere else, screen. It doesn't matter.
being aloof like women do.
They
Yeah.
were drawn back to a portal, nearly eaten by an octopus.
Well, maybe
Attacked
what happened to
by
female.
fey creatures.
Combat always makes me horny.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm just saying.
The blood of your enemies is an aphrodisiac.
I thought you were gonna, I honestly thought you were going to go with lubricant. But, yeah.
Every proper
Safety
conqueror already knows
first,
this.
people.
Jesus,
The lamentations of
Oh,
their
Lord.
women.
that's not what that word means.
Right. Anyway, so we had things to discuss about upcoming chapters, right?
Okay, yeah. So
Sure.
we're talking about old Talby.
We are indeed.
So we left last time we saw him. Really, the first time we saw him, probably too.
First time we knew who he was. First time we named him. Let's go with that. Bishop Talbot was preaching and putting out the good word and sending blimps sailing to spread his message. So I think that what we need to decide is that enough of Talbot until the end of the story, or do we need to keep peppering him in?
Well, I like your flashback, and we definitely need to have that in story. There's something that needs to be in there, and if we didn't tell it, we need to record it and throw it in.
So we have alluded to it quite a bit, but I don't think that we've ever actually gotten to the point where... Now, what about in your next upcoming chapter with the nightmares? Could that be something he sees?
I'm using
The
it.
flashbacks.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say that flashback, but it definitely references the flashback.
So maybe we open the scene with a dream sequence that is a flashback to his teenage year.
Well, before we go too far down this path, to answer the question you asked and then moved immediately onward from,
So yes, unicorn fart.
I was going to say is I would not have any more physical appearances of Talbot in this current timeline, like backflash, whatever, fine. But I would do leaflets. I would do people talking about it, news items, do world building, show him by degrees, but not directly, because we want to save him for, bigger and better things in other stories.
So see the aftermath of Talbot, the result of Talbot.
Okay.
That's my opinion, but that's how I.
Well, like I said, so
works.
I think if with
Makes him
the
shadowier.
backflash earlier in the story, because
A couple of them, yeah.
yeah, and then I referenced the backflash in this by using imagery from it in the next section. And then we see him again, and then we see little, like, I guess, his influence on the world from here on out, maybe,
Uh-huh.
and then, of course, him in the end. Is that enough? I think it might be enough.
It could be enough.
Yeah.
But do we need to redefine that what actually happened to him? Because like I said, right now we've mentioned it, but not actually had it spelled out
In this
To
backflash,
Desmond?
to the reader.
Is Talbot named in that backflash?
No,
Does
he's
he
the
look
man
different
in black.
because
No,
he's
that's what I'm
younger?
saying.
He's
Are you
younger.
talking about what Talbot did to Desmond that you want to spell out?
You know what? Actually, we are missing a piece of what we needed Desmond to remember, and that is the resolution to his haunting. So, in the, I want to say maybe chapter 4-ish, we had Desmond in the House of Lords having a flashback, right?
Right.
He remembered sitting in the hall of the House of Lords while his father did his work, and he was approached by a man in black who gave him the coin. And then he mentions dark days followed that day, right? Because the coin was actually a trinket that was haunted and brought about a demon that tormented him
Right.
for quite a while until he found the solution. Then, when he confronts the Jorogumo, when he decides she's not working fast enough, he also brings up the fact that he has lived, on the bad side of a demon.
Okay.
But at no point have we actually... Well, I guess that was somewhat spelled out. That might be enough, but we haven't mentioned the resolution about how Desmond defeated that creature. And that was where Talbot showed up again and pointed him in the right direction to get rid of the creature that he gave to him in the first place.
Okay, so like I said, I'm planning to reference this whole scenario because the demon digs into Talbot's memories in order to imprison him.
Okay.
So, and he finds the demon that at one time tormented Talbot, and he finds, or that he tormented Desmond, and he finds Talbot, and I think the demon pieces it together
Before Desmond?
before Desmond does.
Yeah, I mean, Desmond's
And
not going to piece it together
I
until
think
the end.
almost laughs at him. Like,
That's cool.
Maybe he's playing
Truth
it
be
back
told,
to torture
Yeah.
and manipulate Desmond.
Truth be told, you can have your demon bring it up, and you can piece in the two memories
he
there.
constructs a narrative
Have
to
it
screw with them.
see the nightmare demon that tormented him, and then have him see Desmond doing the research and trying to find it, and have Talbot approach him and point out, here's what you're looking for. And, that way the demon can easily piece together, all right, this is what's going on. This man has created this guy,
Right. Yeah, so I thought like the demon might be like Pawn, like keep calling him Pawn, and
And maybe Desmond thinks he's referring to himself and the demon's relationship as opposed
right,
to his,
and he
his
doesn't
relationship
get it.
with Talbot.
Yeah, he doesn't get it, and then later on maybe have all that crash on him, when in the end of the story, when in that moment in time, when Caleb lets him out of the truck and everything like that, and he says, "Got him here for you, boss," and he goes, and Desmond goes to say something. He goes, "Oh, I'm not talking about you, sir."
Right.
you know, and then he sees Talbot, and it all comes to him, and it's like,
It all falls together.
son of a bitch.
Right, and
you
he
know.
recognizes that Caleb's never been working for him, and he sees the man
Where he's been played.
who played a part in that time in his youth.
Yeah, so I was going to have the demon, pawn, pawn, pawn. It starts to echo, you know.
So here's the part that we have revealed as far as like previous chapters go. So Karen had threatened him, and he says, "You would not be the first of your kind I've banished back to hell." And then she taunts him some more.
Come back so I may taunt you again.
Yeah, I know he references the fact that he knew all too well, you know, blah, blah, blah.
I would definitely enjoy seeing some Machiavellian twist, manipulation, all that would be fun. But I don't want you to forget that while you're at this, you're in a dream sequence, and it should be trippy. That kind of description would just be fun to play with.
I've already got stuff in mind. I'm already working with it. All I want, I guess, at this point is the few details I need to interject. What is the demon? I know what my demon looks like, but what does the first demon look like? What does the one that he defeated look like?
Well,
I
I
thought
mean,
we
we
just go to like a Shadow Man, Boogeyman
we
thing.
vaguely described it as a nightmare. Yeah, I mean,
You know.
something,
The thing that lives in closets and under beds.
basically a boogeyman.
Okay. What was the good one? There was a good one.
Maybe he works at Monsters, Inc. I don't know.
There was a good boogeyman. I'm trying to remember.
Here it is.
What was it?
What, Slender Man?
No, Slenderman's lame. No, there was a good.
Desmond resumed his pacing, still fuming over that demon having the nerve to threaten him. If she thought he wouldn't follow through with his threat, blah, blah, blah. Admittedly, her words rang true. Demons and evil spirits would latch on. It was a fact he knew all too well. The edges of his trinket dug into his fingers as he clenched his fist tighter, the memories threatening to leak through again. Yeah, so I mean, it's really pretty vague. He would not be intimidated. He was no longer the scared boy that didn't understand the evil that lurked in his world.
See, I think
He knew too well what that wretched creature spoke of. He'd learned that lesson far too young, and he'd overcome the evil that had latched onto him. Night after night, he'd been haunted, tormented. He defeated it then, and he would again. And then he goes on to threaten Karen again.
what I was about to say is, I think that being a childhood nightmare, it's more frightening if it's undefined. Okay? It's like, it's the glowing eyes in the basement. It's the shifting form
I
that you see
agree
in
with
the darkness.
that, because as a child, your imagination is half of the fear.
It's the unknown.
I think at the very least that if it did have form, that your mind might obscure it anyways.
I'm sure it does.
Or
but
you
may
can
never
always
see
make it to where it pulls its form from your mind. Whatever your worst nightmare is what it appears
like
as.
Like it.
Oh, I was gonna say what
Basically.
the thing from frickin' Harry Potter.
Bogarts.
Yeah, Bogarts. So,
Okay.
because they took on the form of what you feared, and then you had to cast ridiculous to
Yeah.
get it
It's literally just another synonym for boogeyman.
right.
Okay. So yeah, same thing. Like it
So in the
takes
end-
your worst nightmare from your mind. And
Desmond's
then
gonna have to put roller skates on the spider, so it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. Yes.
So
No. No.
I really hated the faux lens spells. Especially when it got to the point that it was just basically plain English with an accent.
yeah,
Okay.
ridiculous.
So basically all we've addressed is that he was haunted and that night after night it tormented him.
Okay, that's great. Then I can play with it a little bit because I can think of things that would horrify most people.
Or I mean any child.
You said most people.
People. Yeah.
These are lullabies for Loki.
Mm. I used to snuggle the 1,000 souls of the dead.
Why?
Make you sleep better.
Does it though? All right. So really, are you going to be addressing that in your chapter, the whole Talbot resolution with him? Where Talbot teaches him how to get rid of the demon that he haunted him with.
I don't think I'm going to get too specific.
Because if you're not putting
More of
it
a snippet.
here, it doesn't matter. If you're not putting it here, we need to put it somewhere else, and that's the question.
Didn't you...
No. I have done flashbacks with Desmond twice. Not really a one flashback, and the other one he was like talking to himself, inner monologuing about,
what needs to be done
these
still in
things.
this? I mean...
We still need to reveal the fact that Desmond was influenced by Talbot in how to get rid of this thing. That way, when it gets to the end, the reader can piece together those three things.
I can probably do that. I can probably kind of...
And the domination of will. Little mindfuckery.
But, yeah, I can probably do that a little bit. Well, let's not forget, he doesn't leave this dream state just because he wakes up.
No, but I think
It
the
doesn't
demon
have to be-
controls because Desmond kind of lets him steer. He's like, I see the demon is convincing him, not needing to, but it's useful if he does, that they're on the same team. They're working to the same goal.
No, I'm not doing that.
It doesn't matter. That doesn't have to. None of that matters really. All you have to do is have the demon digging through his memories and see that clip,
I think
and
that
then continue with the nightmare.
I think the demon has
nightmares are
contempt
kind
for
of
him.
nonsensical, so you can jump.
Well, if it
from
has
scene
contempt, then why is it
to scene.
bothering?
Do you know what I'm saying? He's in a dream state. It doesn't have to make sense. There can be purple hippos on the ceiling.
I know.
Okay.
I know what I plan to do with the dream
So
state.
you can have the demon digging through his memories, relive that scene with Talbot and Desmond, and him trying to figure out how to get rid of this demon that's haunting him and keeping him up and has him in this frenzied state. And then Talbot shows up and he's the hero and he, guides him on the right path, and here, this is all you need. And then, that can make the demon piece it together, but from there he doesn't have to wake up. You have plenty more whatever to do. It's just something that can
Well,
be
that's what I'm
pieced
saying.
in.
The demon takes control of Talbot's body. I'm saying that Talbot is still in this nightmare.
Desmond.
That's what I meant. The demon is in control when Desmond wakes up. Desmond remains in this nightmare.
Mhm.
So this doesn't have to be the end of the nightmare.
I see.
My point is, yes, I can hit those benchmarks or whatever with the story, but yeah, we don't have to end it there. There could be more to it.
So you're saying that Desmond can't tell what's real and what's not?
No, I
No,
think he
probably
starts to
not.
realize that he's in a nightmare. He just doesn't know what to do necessarily to get out of it.
The thing is that if you do experience lucid dreaming, it's not a continuous state. Like, he can become self-aware that he's in a dream and then forget that he's self-aware and go back into just dreaming. Like, the awareness is not a constant thing.
That will be difficult to portray to a reader.
I don't think we need to worry about all that. I think I plan to, because the other thing we don't necessarily know, we come into it with Desmond already having the book. The fact of the matter is at the very least, the book is, at minimum, the second thing that Talbot has given Desmond to deal with boogeymen. You know what I'm saying? So, and it may not even be the second.
So truly,
It may be the third or fourth or
well,
fifth.
no, the first trinket he gave him
was the coin.
delivered the boogeyman.
Yeah, but he doesn't know that.
He doesn't know that. He thinks it's a coincidence. However,
And he sought out the cane, but that doesn't mean that the Talbot didn't engineer for that to go across his path.
Well, that's what I'm saying, is that every trinket in Desmond's life that may actually have made it worse in the end, Talbot put there.
entirely possible. I mean, Talbot opened the frickin' rift. Like, he left something there that would play off the magic that
Right.
existed. I mean, the guy is wreaking havoc, really.
But that's what I'm saying, is I think that the boogeyman may lay all this out for Talbot, or for Desmond. And then
Oh.
the
I
numbskull just doesn't completely piece it all together until he realized that he's even been betrayed by, or at the very least, Caleb is working for Desmond, or for Talbot as
But
well.
in fairness to Desmond, I mean, when you're living your life, you don't often have an opportunity to go back over everything in sequential order and see how it all adds to a total whole.
I mean, some of it is his own arrogance, you know.
Half of his problems are his own arrogance.
His own arrogance is a wall against him actually, piecing things together.
Self-reflection.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's completely not self-aware.
That's true.
Well, he's aware of his superiority. as a powerful magician, as a member of gentry.
I think he's reflective of many people in the world, actually. So
Fair enough.
tons of power and no self-awareness.
Which is never a good combination.
Right? They always end up evil.
Truth.
So, okay. Well, I know what I think. I think I know what I'm doing with this, and I think I can do a decent job. I've got a start on it already.
Do you know where your chapter is ending?
He was going to. Well, neither of you said anything.
Well, I mean, it's a
specifically
dream.
about where he was taken.
Ends anywhere.
So, he was it was gonna end by the body sitting up on the table.
Okay, so we're not yet getting to a point where Caleb and Roberta and Jennifer are talking about stopping him.
Well, that's the hard
So they're
part.
not
Is
gonna
do I
know
at
yet.
some point go ahead and is the whole thing just the dream,
Yeah, I think so.
or is some of it what's
There's a
going
lot
on
to cover
around
there.
him?
Well, you could have background conversation as the body sits up, but I mean that's not a whole lot.
So he's not going to start building the machine or anything.
Oh no, they're
Well, I
even
think
be
the
aware that he's
machine.
evil
I think the
yet.
machine is conceived, maybe in the dream.
Okay.
Maybe he hints to it.
Symbols and forms that he
Yeah,
sees
yeah,
floating in front of him.
yeah. The math and structure and sketching.
Like that Facebook meme with the girl looking off to the side with all
Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's like a Da Vinci style
Right,
layout
right.
of it actually building itself around him in the dream state. It's not really being built, but this is the demon
Concept.
conceiving
Gotcha.
of what's going to be, and I can describe this ridiculous machine
Right,
or whatever.
but yeah, they're not going to be talking about killing him because they don't even know that he's uniquely evil,
But
more than Desmond evil.
what we're seeing really when we see the machine being constructed in the mind is the demon overtaking Desmond completely.
All right, so the only thing that I want to point out that you mentioned previously, because you're saying you're going to end it after the dream sequence and have it ending where he wakes up, right?
Yeah.
My only point is that what we mentioned was that a dream sequence can take place in a matter of moments. Like the time elapse doesn't have to equal reality.
Right.
Oh yeah, neither direction.
So just make sure that it happens quickly because we can't let Jennifer escape with the book while he's out. So
Well,
he needs to be
that's-
waking up like pretty much as soon as they're back.
Yeah, we were originally
We-
saying is Jennifer might be trying to sneak off with the book, and then he wakes up and he just like sets it right back down.
Well, no, I thought that he wakes up catching her trying to make off with the book, and she goes, "Oh, thank God! I was about to open this to try and bring you back."
Right.
Right. So as long as it's addressed, because then
Just
and
looking
that way the
for
reader
answers.
is not like, wait, why wouldn't she just, you
And then
know?
Caleb's like eyes are darting back and forth between Desmond and her. Like, I know she wasn't, but he isn't gonna say anything. So,
Okay.
all right. So we good?
Yeah, I think that's everything we needed out of that.
Great. Join us next week as we see this to fruition. So don't forget to check us out at the darkandstormynights.vigvasirmedia.com. You can catch the show, if you aren't already, on the darkandstormynights.podbean.com. Follow us on Twitter at the darkstormyk1. And don't forget to go buy Tyr's book.
Yeah, The Cost of Justice on Amazon. And, it's under Nova Drake. And then also, if you are a writer and want to check out, we just built a community forum on vigvasirmedia.com. So if you have something to say or want to post your, brag about your publications or whatnot, you can go on there and leave some comments for us.
See you next time.